Hello everybody, welcome. My name is Bern Szukalski. I'm a technology evangelist at Esri, and today what I would like to do is go over some of the highlights of the latest release of ArcGIS Online, which was made public about 10 days ago. So one of the things I'll start with is some new content. And among the new content that we've added are lots of content for oceans. Here you're looking at the Oceans Bathymetry base map, which is a nice substrate for some of the other layers that we've also added to our Living Atlas. For example, here is a layer, these are imagery layers, which show the distance to the coastline. And here's another companion layer, which shows the distance from the shore. Beyond that, there's lots of other layers that we can add. Here's one that shows the aragonite content on the seafloor. Another one that shows the temperature of the seafloor. Another one shows the silicate content on the seafloor. Yet another for salinity and also dissolved oxygen. Now, these oceans data sets are just some of the newer ones. Some of the other data sets have been updated, imagery has been updated, and also some of the demographics. So check the Living Atlas for more information and the ArcGIS blog for updates to content. Next, I'd like to move on to something really interesting. What we've implemented for this release is drag and drop to change your routes once they've been created. So here I am in Los Angeles. I'll click to start a route. I'll add another stop, and we'll finish with a third stop. So there's my route, and you'll notice that the driving directions are on the left-hand side in the panel. Now to change the route, I just grab any point in the route, move it to a new location, and the route is automatically recalculated and the directions are updated. Now this next one is my favorite feature for this release, and this is a custom base map. Esri has long provided a collection of ready-to-use base maps from the Living Atlas, and you of course can also create your own and insert them in this gallery, but we've made it easier than ever before to leverage Living Atlas content to make some really interesting base maps. Let me show you how. This is the default base map. This is the World Topographic Base Map. And it's a compilation of sources, global sources, that have all been brought into a seamless global base map at multiple resolutions. Now what I'd like to do is show you how you can custom create your own base map by leveraging Living Atlas content. And we'll start by going out to the Living Atlas and looking for a hillshade layer, and I'll choose the multi-directional hillshade. I'll add that as a base map. So what I've done right now is I've replaced that world topographic map with this very nice hillshade, but I'd like to add some other layers onto it. We have some layers in my map already. This is some geologic units for the United States, and I'll take that and I'll move that to the base map. This is new. Also, we want to be able to see some of the hillshade terrain beneath it, so I'll adjust the transparency until it looks nice. And finally, what I'll add is a reference layer. This is the world reference layer, which is used in some of the other Esri base maps. And here, in a few steps, leveraging Living Atlas content, I've created a very interesting custom base map. So while we're talking about base maps, let's consider something else. 2 releases ago, Esri published vector tile base maps, and these are really interesting because you can tune them to your cartographic needs in a lot of detail. There's a vector base maps group. You'll notice that these are still in beta, but they've been updated for this release. Let's take a look at a couple of these examples. This is a nice topographic base map, but unlike the default topographic base map, this includes nice hill-shaded terrain that you see there. Now this is another iteration of the same features in that base map, but they've been symbolized a little bit differently to show streets at night. So by using different colors and by pushing the background into dark gray, we're looking at a nice night scene that we can overlay our operational layers on top of. This is another base map. This is designed for navigation. You'll notice that the street center lines are nice and wide, and is a great base map to use on mobile devices. And here's yet another one. This is streets with relief. If I pan back to the same area we were just at before with the topographic base map, you'll see the nice hill-shaded terrain that's now a part of this base map. Now, what's really interesting about these is I can control the cartographic representation of all these features, and this is all done on the fly. So we have some tools which are available in our GitHub repository, which you can use to custom design a base map using these as a starting point. So here I'm working with the world navigation map, and one of the things I can do is I can just turn off different layers. So watch the green forests here on this map. So I've just toggled those off. The map will redraw, but we'll see that we won't have that forest layer anymore. So one thing you can do is just control which layers display and decide which ones you want to use. Another thing, perhaps more importantly, that you can do is change the color. So I'll click on the color, I'll choose a different color from our color chart here, click OK, and the map will redraw, and you can see I've changed the forests now into an ochre color instead of the green. So this provides a great deal of flexibility, and for all you cartographers, there's lots of ways that you can design and style a unique base map for your needs. Another area that we put some focus in is supporting 3D, and this is a new 3D configurable template which is now part of the Create a Web App Gallery. This template allows me to take two different scenes and lock them and compare them side by side. So there's no coding required for these configurable templates. They're easy to get up and going with just following a few simple steps and dialog boxes. But if you want, you can download the source code and you can customize these as well. We've also added 3D into the web app builder for ArcGIS. So this is a quick little application that I configured using the web app builder, which leverages a collection of widgets and allows me to use those widgets to create a custom configured application. So here we're looking at the 3D scene, and we're going through some of the slides and navigating the scene. So again, 3D not only in these configurable application templates, but also in the web app builder. Now, another area that we've invested some improvements in is smart mapping. Smart mapping makes it very easy for you to create elegant maps because it makes some decisions for you about how the map might be represented. But more so than that, smart mapping is a lot about data exploration. So it unlocks some of what the value of the data is by providing interesting ways to symbolize it. Now this is a story map, this is a story map journal, and this was done with the release previous to this last one, and it shows how you can use multiple attributes to symbolize data. For example, in this map, the thickness of the road indicates traffic volume, and the color indicates the district that that portion of highway lies within. Now we've extended smart mapping with this release, and we've added something really interesting. It's called predominance mapping. It takes a little bit to get your head around this, but what it does is it maps the predominant value. So this is an election map, and the Republican votes are in red, the Democratic votes are in blue, but the color or the shade of the blue or the red indicates the predominance of that value. So for example, the really dark blues are very heavily predominantly Democratic, the lighter blues are less predominantly Democratic, and the white ones are actually a tie between Democrat and Republican. So this is yet another great addition to smart mapping that enables you to make very compelling maps online. Now, another interesting addition that we've added to story maps is the ability to autoplay story maps. So here's a story map tour, which provides a nice tour of San Diego. Now what I'd like to do is perhaps use this at a kiosk at a visitor center, or use it in an office, maybe a heads-up display, and if the story map includes a link, there's an option for me to check autoplay mode, which will add it to the shareable link. I can also toggle this to autoplay mode simply by adding a URL parameter, &autoplay, and once I've done that, I just hit carriage return, and you'll see when the story map opens up, I'll have a control which enables me to set the speed. Now you'll notice at the bottom is a little control, and I can adjust the timing between the movements of a story map tour like this one, or a story map journal, story map series. So as I let this sit there, you'll see that it'll automatically advance to the next tour stop. And again, this is great and very useful for kiosk type applications in museums and displays and things like that. So if you'd like to learn more about what's new in ArcGIS Online for this March 2016 release, visit the ArcGIS blogs and you'll find a collection of blog posts which go into great detail about some of the new features I've covered here and a lot more that I haven't. Thank you very much.